Now here again is Mike Ivers. Mike, so good that you've joined us today. We're glad to have you.
Thanks, Daniel. Great to be with you.
Now, I've had the pleasure of being with you on a vision trip with Good City, which really touched me. And I think it's relevant to what we're talking about today because I saw joy in that experience. Right. What do you think that comes from?
I think it comes from people of faith who've made true transformations in their lives and are not just worrying about themselves, but worrying about how they can improve the community and the quality of life for all individuals in their communities based upon their seeing the needs of the community. So it's not just coming from themselves, but from the needs of others.
And Mike, you make that distinction in your wonderful message that joy is rooted in justice, is rooted in God, as opposed to happiness, the secular understanding of happiness, which is often rooted in individualism. Is that right?
That's right. And joy, when we talk about joy and justice, we're talking about community and the common good. And that's such a real element of joy. It's really not eating a meringue horn. It's really more about changing lives, transforming communities, connecting people, and really enhancing God's community here on earth.
And I've seen you in action. You are a man of action in a crowd, connecting people. Don't you think that's part of it? You called out that we need to take action in order to experience joy. It's not something that necessarily just comes to us and we're sitting there waiting for it, is it?
It's not going to walk in front of us and stare us in the face. We have to go ahead and participate in it. Not like we're the only bearers of joy, but we've got to definitely take out there and get into the communities.
But as writer C.S. Lewis reminds us in his book, Surprised by Joy, that was the name of the woman who came into his life and gave meaning to his life, we can be surprised by joy, as you were with your beautiful Greta.
Oh, yes, right. And it was a wonderful experience of joy. In fact, if you ask me what gives me joy, just the other day she was cooking and she said, "It gives me such great joy to see you eat the food I've cooked." And I said, "Well, let me oblige you."
That's great.
But you're absolutely right, Lydia. It can be a real surprise, and sometimes that's even the greater experiences of a joy, but it's a matter of being open to it and seeing it and looking for it.
The receptivity.
Yes.
And the transforming aspect of that kind of gift from God.
That's right. That's right.
I know we're going to talk more about joy, but while we've got you here, I think of you as kind of an expert on the faith-based initiative movement. Certainly in Chicago, you've got a great knowledge of it. Can you just inform us or educate us what you think the future is going to be moving forward? There's a lot of changes happening, and what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know if I'd call myself an expert, but I'm certainly in it.
Involved
in the mix,
in it, yes,
and I'm in the mix, and I think it's exciting.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. And one of the things at Good City that we're doing more of is helping churches become community development corporations so that the faith that the people practice in communities can be more transparent. And I think churches are really stepping up to the plate all over the country, not just in Chicago. And I think the faith-based initiative is a wonderful initiative and has to be inclusive and it has to be real. But I'm excited about the future of it because I think that more and more people are realizing that faith is something that they should not hide and be embarrassed about.
Mm-hmm. You've been in the mix since you were born, I suspect, Mike Ivers, on the south side of Chicago, 97th Street and what, Stony Island?
Troop Street, 97th and
And that bakery where you got the meringue cone is not there anymore.
No, Wagner's Bakery on 95th
is
gone. I wish it was there. Right?
I guess I want to ask you about the joy you feel when you can point to the many acts of revitalization that you have helped empower and nurture and incubate in this town. What are they?
Well, I'm just humbled to be able to participate in events like as a Chicago Housing Authority Commissioner. When I drive down the Dan Ryan Expressway and no longer see those prisons of anonymous poverty, I feel pretty excited and pretty joyful. When I work with CHA residents and see them going from a life of isolation to a life of full investment into the community, a life of self-sufficiency where they're not dependent on anyone else. That's exciting. That's very joyful. I help to work with United Power for Action and Justice, bringing together 250 different organizations coming together in relationship. That's joyful. Helping people get jobs, connecting people. Those are joyful experiences. Being a connector and a link.
Like connecting Commonwealth Edison with, what was that
That's
project?
Right. Look
Painting
to the future.
Houses of the Poor?
That's right. That came out of a program through Leadership Greater Chicago where an individual, John Costello from Commonwealth Edison and myself, created, with many others, Look to the Future, which painted the homes of the elderly and disabled in 19 different communities in Chicago. And so I think that's, some of those exciting things. I'm humbled to be able to journey with people in their faith experience, and that's so joyful to see other people articulate their faith, and I feel so privileged to have participated in that.
You mentioned Reverend Tammy, who I got to meet on that trip, and that was a really moving experience for me. And I loved how you talked about her trust in the process that she went through. It was kind of a release that she experienced,
That's right.
even though there was a challenge, but that's another way we can come to joy too, isn't it? Giving more trust over to God that He's really taking care of us in our times of need.
Was that the women in prison?
Yes, the Naomi
Say
Project.
more about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a great
just
program.
a wonderful program. A woman who has gone through the life experience herself and transformation to being a real ministerial leader in her particular community. And I think we need more programs like that deal with women in smaller numbers,
This
6
is
or
West
7.
Side Chicago?
West side of Chicago in Garfield Park.
And then what happens to these women coming out of prison?
She nurtures them, she gives them a place to be, she connects them to whatever their needs may be, whether it's a GED class, substance abuse programs, job programs, doing different connections with the CARA program is a program that works with women who are homeless, transitioning to self-sufficiency, connecting them to the different opportunities that they may not be aware of.
And their children?
And their children.
What happens to those children?
Well, usually when the women are coming right out of prison, they don't have their children with them. And so that's usually one of the goals, is to get the children back, whether with another family member or DCFS.
If we were to get on a bus with you in Chicago, where else would we go to visit projects of Good City?
Just about everywhere in the city. I'd take you up to Rogers Park to see Starfish Learning Center working with children. I'd take you down to Roseland to see different programs that we've started there, helping churches to become community development corporations. I'd take you into the Latino community to see a program that's helping people in the Latino community deal with diabetes, education, empowerment, and research. I could take you to different shelters for victims of domestic violence, programs that are working with young people, programs that are reaching out to make sure the needs of the representatives of different communities are met.
And Good City, you say, helped start the Interfaith Youth Corps.
Yes.
What was your role in that? What happened?
Well,
what was the dream about?
Well, Ibu Patel came and said that he wanted to start this and needed a 501c3 and other technical assistance, and we were their fiscal manager, taught them how to develop a board, how to write grants, how to analyze budgets, all the things that nonprofits need. And we do so from a business perspective, taking the best of the Harvard Business Review, taking the best of Crain's, then putting the best of the business world so that nonprofits are efficient. That's very important, that they're well run. And when they're well run, everybody's going to have greater joy.
But what a wonderful goal, interfaith understanding.
That's right.
And so you connect the dream with a tough business savvy.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
And
that's
this
right.
is really faith in action. I think you've landed in exactly the right place, Mike, with all your background previously and all your experience in Chicago. Again, it's a joy to see you in a group of people, connecting people. I see you get great joy coming out of that.
I do, and it
You
just it feeds, like I said in the presentation. You
in-
get more and more joyful. But I have to ask you, Daniel, and ask you, Lydia, what brings you joy?
In 30 seconds,
Oh,
go ahead.
very quickly, I love making music with people. That's one of the things. I love spending time with family, and that's be my answer. So.
Butterflies, a
All right.
resurrection statement, right?
That's
New life
right.
in the
That's
midst of
right.
loss. And
That's great.
a second chance. Great to have you here, Mike Ivers.
It's an honor to be here.
Thanks,
Thank
Mike.
you very much.